kör hela vägen upp nu, Viktor, det där. Vi fixar det. Ja, det är fräsen som bråkar för mig.
I'd say this slope is probably a good 99% man-made snow, and man-made snow makes a really good base because it goes like concrete, but it's quite hard to groom after a while because it goes like concrete. As the moisture sort of evaporates out of it, it becomes this, it's sugar. And then you get random patches of ice where those lance piles, where the piles sit, the moisture leaks from, it leaches down into the snow underneath it and creates big ice patches, and they're really hard to break apart once you let them settle. And this sugary stuff, you can't push as much of it as you'd like, and you're also trying to cut the base which is underneath it, which is, like I say, concrete. So it's a good winch job, but it's a balancing act. You don't want to push too hard and rip through the base and end up digging holes. Like up here, because everybody turns up here, it's really solid, and we don't have any natural snow to cover it up with, so sort of got to scarify it a bit and then try and drag some of the sugary stuff to put on top, and hopefully that makes it a decent surface for skiing on the next day. So try and move around a bit and break it up with the tracks and scarify it so the snow will stick and it breaks it apart a little bit. Also got to try and balance. It's a good thing about GPS is you can see where your low patches are and where your deep patches are, so you can tell where you can take snow from and where you can push it to with a bit of planning and thought. Got to do a little bit every night and try and get ahead of it, but it's hard. It's the holidays at the moment, the Christmas holidays, so there's a lot of people up here, and the slope gets a beating during the day. Trying to be a little bit sneaky here by cutting this down and crowning it, because the run leans that way anyway, so you cut a bank. We all cut a bank on the edge of our slopes to retain the snow. So if I cut it down like that, the skiers are naturally going to push snow into here anyway, and then I can use it to widen the slope out without having to pull snow from elsewhere and shove it into this corner. And we are hopefully due for some natural snow in a few days, which will also fill this up naturally, and saves us a bit of work. It means that you can actually use the skiers to put snow where you want it instead of taking it from where you want it, like they normally do. So it's quite off camber now. This is why I like doing push jobs with my tiller off, because I've got a lot of weight in that back corner. That's where active boom comes in handy. Quite slow. It's probably not what you're used to seeing on people's snowcat videos and that sort of thing, but when you're pushing natural snow, you can run into it 100 miles an hour and it goes everywhere. But when you're pushing man-made snow, you've got to be a bit more careful, because it does get hard enough, and if you get a little bit overconfident with how much you can push, your blade will pull around to one side if it catches it, and you can actually rip the cylinders out or bend a wing or whatever. It's snow, but it's still pretty hard, pretty solid. And especially with the winch, you've got the extra pulling power pulling the front of the machine into the ground, so if you're not careful, you can do some damage to the machine when you're trying to push more than what it can actually push. You've got to loosen the snow up first and then try and push it. Take an inch or two off over a long distance, rather than digging a big hole and trying to push 10 tons of snow from the bottom to the top. Just try and scrape little bits off and push it forward. That way when it comes time to groom it, I won't have to push much to actually get that to be a nice surface as well. When you're taking your blade falls, if you're keeping them nice and flat, so that surface is nice and flat, that way when you come to actually groom it, you don't have to do too much pushing to get it the way you want it. Whereas if you're digging big humps and hollows the whole way up, trying to get a big blade full all the time, then you end up creating a big mess, and then you have to spend more time tidying it up later. Everybody wants to be the hero with a blade full of snow, but big blade falls don't always solve every problem that's in front of you. So now I've got a slight hump in there, which I think I will actually probably pull that way. There's a few little bumps in there, so I'll pull that across as I till this slope out. I'll pull that little bit across and make it nice, and then should be good to go.